Hey guys, Jimmy from WhichWay here. Welcome back to Punch the Controller. This is episode 2. Sadly today, Jackson will not be joining us on the podcast. He ended up getting a bit sick. So unfortunately, it will just be me today. But again, he will be on these episodes, just not today's one. And hopefully next time he can jump on. But the show must go on. And we've got a lot to talk about in today's episode. So first up, we just got finished watching UFC on ABC. That's a bit of a tongue twister. UFC on ABC. Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Just finished watching that. There are fights that we need to talk about. I think I have exactly, let's see here. We have 1, 2... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights that I pretty much wanted to talk about. So first up on the list we have Tony Chiesa versus Tony Chiesa. Edit that out. We have Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chiesa. This fight wasn't as not as appealing to me. I don't mind Chiesa. I was a big fan of Tony. Not that I'm not anymore. I just think he shouldn't be fighting anymore. That's pretty much what I have to say about Tony and his losing streak. And the Tony, the type of guy jokes, they're pretty funny, but they're getting old now, so. But, we still see them around. But, Tony just has to keep losing, which is unfortunate. He should hang the gloves up. But speaking of hanging the gloves up, he did lose this fight. It was a first-round finish on Chiesa's half. It was round 1, even though it was a round 1 finish, all round 1 was just feeling each other out. Like, that's pretty much all they were doing. But it didn't really last long. So round 1 finish from Chiesa, submission, a little bit surprising. It was a must win for both guys, and Chiesa took it out of Tony's hands. So it was a much needed win for Chiesa. And yeah, good for him, man. Good for him. Much needed. Tony's losing streak is now 8, 9. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to look it up soon. But yeah, I feel bad for Tony. I think he obviously watching his post-fight interview. DC kind of spoke to him about, fans loving him. The fans do love him, of course. A lot of people like Tony. The funny thing is, he asked him about retirement. Tony did not want to retire. He loves the UFC, but he took not one... He didn't take 2 gloves off. He did not take both gloves off. He took 1 glove off. He took both gloves off, but he took 1 glove with him, and he left 1 glove in the octagon, if I remember correctly. So that's pretty much Tony saying his heart is still in the game. He still wants to fight, but if he decides to go back and talk to his wife and they discuss finishing his career, wrapping up his career just like that, then I guess that's it for Tony. And I think Tony, if he does decide, which there's no way he will, I think he is obviously a legend of the sport, no doubt. And I think he, in my eyes, one of the best to do it. So, we'll see what's next for Tony. I know Dana wants him to retire, I believe. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but he has said a few times that he wants Tony to retire. So yeah, In terms of Chiesa, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really. Chiesa has been on a bit of a losing streak, I believe. Let me just quickly check, because I am a bit out of the loop when it comes to Michael Chiesa. Only sometimes. So he lost to Kevin Holland, my boy. I love me some Kevin Holland. He lost to Vicente, and also Sean Brady, but he won against Neil Magny, but that was a few years back. So yeah, a bit of a rough one for Chiesa. But yeah, we'll see what's next for him, what he wants to do. He is in the broadcasting team, part of the broadcasting team, I believe. So he can pretty much do like a Dominic Cruz or who else does it? Just trying to think. I think there's someone else that does it, but kind of just Anthony Smith as well, kind of go between broadcasting and fighting. I'm sure he can do that as well. But yeah, there's that one. So next up on the list we have, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. We have Guram versus Jordan Vucenic. This one interested me. This one piqued my interest because obviously if you guys watched and listened to the first episode of Punch the Controller, the lightweight division is not my favorite class. But Jordan piqued my interest because he came up on I watch a lot of fighting videos on YouTube and whatnot. He came up on my feed, decided to have a crack at him, have a look at him, and he comes from PFL, I believe, or is it another fighting association? He comes from. Let me just quickly. So he comes from Cage Warriors, and I think he has fought in a few other organizations as well. But yeah, so he is now, as of today, after watching the fights, he is now 13-3. So he made his debut today in Abu Dhabi, signed him to the UFC. I really liked his fighting style. He looked really. It went decision, 3 rounds. He looked really impressive in round 1 to me. I think he got off to a good start against Guram. But I think in the end, Guram did win, won the decision. And rightfully so. I feel like Jordan wasn't doing as well in round 2 and 3 as he could have been. But yeah, he has fought well in Cage Warriors from the few fights that I have seen of his. So in fact, I'm probably going to. I have a list of fighters to look out for. Maybe up and comers, contenders, fighters that I don't really know, but I like a lot. So he'll definitely be added to the list. I feel like I could really. Visually learn a lot from Jordan. So, even though he lost the fight, he could be a serious contender down the line. I think I'm not too sure if he has changed weight classes in the past, but I mean, he definitely suits lightweight, I would say, at least from what I've seen of him. So, Guram ultimately won the fight, and Guram is not one of those fighters that I've seen a lot from. I've seen a few fights from him, but I'm not too sure how long he has been in the UFC for. So, I'll be looking at a lot more from Jordan, and then, I guess that fight is done. So moving on, This fight was kind of another lightweight fight, I believe, from these bad boys. Joel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. I believe that's how you say his name. I didn't think too much of this fight. It was a good fight, I think. Alvarez looked like he was on a goddamn mission. I know he's had a few rocky moments in the UFC, but I believe he won against Thiago Moises. And in this fight, he looked great as well. So Alvarez won the fight. And I believe Brenner was one of those guys who would get a few knockouts and then, or, TKOs, whatever. And then, I think this fight was a great matchup for both guys. And it didn't get fight of the night, I believe, but it was a good fight nonetheless. And so there's that one. So the next fight we have on our list is Shara versus Mikhail. I'm not going to pronounce the last names because I will butcher them. So first up, middleweight fights. I had Shara going into this. He was undefeated and still is, as he won the fight against Mikhail. I think what makes, in my eyes, Shara different from a few of the other Dagestanis and Russians and stuff like that, I think he has a lot more effective striking, more than his wrestling. In fact, I think I saw more striking from him in this fight than his wrestling. I'm just trying to repicture it in my mind, just making sure it's fresh. But I believe he used his kicks very often. They both did great in the fight. This fight, I believe, got fight of the night. And it was very well deserved. And yeah, I feel like Shara uses his striking very effectively against his opponents. I think it's hard to tell because I'm trying to. Who did Shara fight before? I do have to see. So he fought Antonio Trocoli. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So he did get a KO in that fight, but I believe this is actually Shara's first fight, I believe. This can't be right. Second fight, sorry. No, third fight. All right. So yeah, he beat Bruno Silva, beat Antonio, and just now beat Mikhail. So 14-0 right now. Won by decision. Knocked out his last opponent, but I feel like he has all the tools to start getting knockouts and TKOs and stuff like that. I'm not too sure about his ground game though. Submissions and whatnot, but we'll see how he goes. Don't know too much about Mikhail. I've seen a few of his fights, but I think Shara is definitely one to look out for, especially the skill he has as well. So, and I believe post-fight interview with Shara's broken English, I believe he wants to fight Nick or Nate Diaz. I think he might have said Nate because Nick's not really in the UFC. Well, he's not active at least. So, unless he did mean Nick, because obviously Nate is a lightweight and Shara is a middleweight, so that would be a big step up. So yeah, that's all I have from the fight. Moving on to the next fight. This one piqued my interest for one of many reasons. It's a bantamweight fight. As you guys know from the first episode, bantamweights are my favorite weight class, favorite fighters. So today we had Marlon Chito Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. Not a huge fan of Davison. Got nothing against the guy. I'm going to have to probably say that after I say to a certain fighter that I don't like them or I'm not a big fan of them. Not exactly a big fan of Chito. I'm starting to warm up to Cheeto a lot more these days. But yeah, before the fight started, I had Figgy to win. I wouldn't have been surprised if Figgy knocked Cheeto out, although Cheeto is very durable, but apparently not according to Sean O'Malley's knee in the last fight. So, but Cheeto definitely has a chin on him. And Davison looked good against Cody Garbrandt in the last fight. And now that I'm saying this, Davison, from what I've seen of his fights in bantamweight so far, Davison absolutely could make it to the top. The way he fights is, it's pretty goddamn good. So I think he can make it to the top. He just beat number Cheeto's 3 or 4. So yeah, with Cheeto, Cheeto is known for starting his fights off slow. That's kind of his style, and he doesn't necessarily always win starting off slow, but he does get the job done in certain fights. This fight was a great matchup, I thought. Davison versus Vera. It wasn't really it was a great matchup. It wasn't a tough one though. Like I could see it being one-sided. But yeah, Davison looked good against Cody last fight. Just in my mind, I had Davison winning just from the get-go. What else? I think when they were getting into the grappling exchanges, I have to say Cheeto is, I don't know if a lot of people recognize it, but I think Cheeto has a lot of underrated grappling, I will say. I think a lot of people don't appreciate his grappling as much as they should. But yeah, I think he should definitely use it more, just when he needs to, though. And we also got the moment where Figgy, dropped Cheeto. So that was pretty surprising during the fight. So, but yeah, Figgy won the fight by a unanimous decision. It was a 3-rounder. It could have been easily a 5-rounder. I wouldn't have minded that at all. It would have been better in my eyes. But yeah, Figgy is now, I think I was surprised by what I saw him in the rankings as. I think he's number 6 or 7, something like that, in the bantamweight division. But yeah, Figgy is in a really good place right now. He does have a few options. So again, we can very well play matchmaker right now. That's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay, so we have. That's also not what I wanted. It just needs to load, then I'll be very good. Okay, so they've actually changed the website, I think. Interesting. Okay. That's Oh, no, they have not. They just added a fan thing, or maybe I just haven't seen it. So bantamweight right now, we have, so Davison, number 6. Cheeto is number 4, so I was right in saying 3 or 4. So Davison, come Tuesday, as I'm recording this, will be ranked number 4, I believe. Number 4. So Davison has a few options. He's only just gotten into the bantamweight division, so he could easily fight someone lower than him, depending on what they want to do. Because the main event was also a bantamweight fight. Umar will be getting a title shot next, it appears, after Sean and Marab. So there's that. Technically, if he doesn't fight for the title next, after Umar, it'll be Davison versus, could get Peter Yan, Corey could also fight Davison, even though Corey just lost, sadly. I am a huge Corey Sandhagen fan. So next, in terms of Marlon Chitorveda, don't know why I said it like that. Marlon has been top ranked for a very long time, just as Corey has. Options for Marlon. I mean, Marlon has fought so many guys. Maybe Marlon might fight. You know, there are a few rematches on the horizon. Could possibly happen again. Got Song Yadong, Jose Aldo, Rob Font, just to name a few. But yeah, I feel like Cheeto is going to get a rematch of some sort. But I could be wrong. But you never know. Just remember when I said this. But yeah, we will see what happens next for Cheeto and Figgy. All right, so the next and last fight that we are going to talk about was the fight I was looking forward to the most: Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. That's his last name, right? Didn't want to get it with someone else. Yes. Okay, just making sure. But anyway. For those of you who don't know, I'm not too sure if I said it in the first episode. Corey Sandhagen is... I have a lot of favorite fighters, top 5, top 10. But Corey, I think, is my number one, absolute favorite fighter. He's in my favorite weight class. That's probably why bantamweight is... Also because, you know, bantamweights, I think, have 75% chance of being banger fights, I think. But yeah, Corey's definitely number one for me, without a doubt. Has been for a very long time. It's always been a toss-up between Corey, Rob Font, Calvin Kattar. I mean, yeah, just to name a few. So going into this fight, it was a tough one. I thought Umar was going to win, and he did, unfortunately. Corey fought very well this fight. Corey is definitely one of the most technical strikers in the division, just in the UFC, in the whole of the UFC. He fought technically, as he always does. He also had a new addition in his corner for this fight camp. He had Trevor Whitman, who is known to train fighters such as Rose Namajunas, Kamaru Usman, and also Justin Gaethje, and a few others as well. But those are the main ones that I can think of right now. So I think that was definitely an added benefit to his already great corner. But yeah, man, 5 rounds. Corey, from what I can remember from the fight, Corey was doing all the right things. My only critique for Corey was that he, like his corner said to him, he needed to go first, and I don't think he was doing that enough. This was a very close fight, and I hated it for it being this close. I wish it was more distinguishable so I could tell who was winning. But after the rounds were finished, you could pretty much tell by unanimous decision that Umar was going to win. I thought rounds 1, 2, and 3 extreme. I mean, all the rounds were close. I mean, I'm just trying to think of if there was a clear-cut round for Umar or Corey. But some of the scorecards that were being read on the screen from the people on Twitter, some people had a draw, some people had Corey up the first round, second round, stuff like that. So I mean, they were just all over the place. And yeah, I think I wanted to note as well. Corey looked, I think it was in round 1. Corey looked extremely comfortable with the things that he was doing, cutting Umar off in the cage, applying that pressure that he needed to. And I think, as the broadcasters were saying as well, Umar looked a bit nervous. He had that nervous energy about him, and I 100% agree. He had a few slips and stuff like that, notable slips. And in the very first round, I think Corey just looked extremely comfortable. He knew what he had to do. And I think as that went on, Umar kind of got better after round one. So, there's that. Corey, in his interviews, wanted to... he was saying during the week that he wanted to, if he hadn't already, test his defensive wrestling against Umar. We got a lot of defensive wrestling during the grappling and exchanges against the cage and even on the ground as well. I think Corey had me... Whenever Umar took down Corey, it was kind of always in the last minute of every round, which had me out of my seat. I was panicking. I was scared for Corey. As soon as Umar got Corey's back, I was just... Every time that happened, I was losing my mind. I had my hands on my head, got out of my chair, all that stuff. So Umar was very good at testing my ability to not lose my shit. And he got me scared a few times, we'll say that. But Corey got out of those scrambles, exchanges, rear naked choke attempts, and all that. So extremely impressive from Corey. Corey, I just want to touch again on Corey's technical striking. I don't think anyone else does it better than him. Very few fighters are that technical in the UFC, so that is why Corey is one of the top bantamweights in the world. He's number 2. He's always been in the top 5 for at least a few years, unless when he beat Aljo. When Aljo beat Corey, I'm not too sure what he was ranked, but he's always been a top bantamweight. So, and from Umar's perspective as well, he did what he does best. He took down Corey. The takedowns were working well for him, except for when Umar was going in on a single leg. I think Corey had extremely good defense as well. A lot of fighters would have gone down straight away from the takedown. So I think Umar was using those takedowns to his advantage. Umar did extremely well in my eyes. I wish nothing but the best for Umar. It's a shame that my boy lost to him, but overall, there are a few fights I actually did miss, since this, to be fair, this card was extremely early in Australia. It was, like 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning. So 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. So I didn't exactly get up to watch the fights. I waited until they were uploaded. So, there are a few fights I missed, but I'll go back and watch them when I can. So, yeah. Also, just before I end the UFC news, we have some exciting news. I think this got announced, I think it was today, because we knew things were in the works, but they officially got announced. So the first one is, of course, Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. We have that set for October 26 in, of course, you guessed it, Abu Dhabi. So I cannot wait for that fight. Huge Robert Whittaker fan. If you do not like Robert Whittaker, there is something absolutely wrong with you. I'm just saying that straight up right now. Robert Whittaker is one of those fighters that he's a fighter in the cage, but the nicest guy, according to everything that I've seen, listened to from him. So, huge Robert Whittaker fan. You cannot hate on the man. You cannot. So hopefully no one pulls out, no one gets injured. Hopefully for Chimaev's sake, he does not get injured or pull out due to injury or sickness or illness or anything like that. Hoping the best for that. So that's October. It's not too far away, so there's a lot of time for anything to happen, but hopefully not too much. So, yeah. And then, of course, the next one on the same card, we have Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. This fight was absolutely going to get made after what Ilia did to Alex and then what Max did to Justin. There were talks that this fight was going to be made, and of course it did. So it is in Abu Dhabi. Ilia wanted to fight in Spain, but clearly that did not happen. It did not get set. So yeah, man. Huge Max Holloway fan. Also, just like Rob Whittaker, you cannot hate Max. They're both extremely likable fighters. Whereas I'm only starting to like Ilia Topuria. Just because I don't like him doesn't mean he isn't one of the best strikers. And I think his boxing is literally insane. His boxing is so crisp, so on point. One of my favorite fights from Ilia is Ilia versus Josh Emmett. I think that's a great fight to break down for Ilia's boxing and all of his other tools as well. But I think his boxing is what stands out to me. So yeah, I absolutely cannot wait for that fight. Obviously, we will do more predictions when the fight gets closer. So yeah, that's all for today's fighting. I think the card, I've only seen like 6 or 7 fights on the card, but I'm going to have to go back and see the finishes, see the knockouts and stuff. But overall, I think it was a pretty, maybe some would say this fight card was better than Leon versus Bilal. I've seen some people say that. But yeah, it's a bit sad when there are fight nights and, Apex cards and cards on ABC that are better than pay-per-view. In my opinion, it's a bit sad because pay-per-views you pay good money to see them. You have these big matchups that should be on pay-per-views, but there have been occasions where the matchup wasn't as hyped as they should have been. But hey, that's just me. So, yeah, moving on. So recently motherfucker, if I keep doing that. Technical difficulty? No, real good. So recently we have also, I discussed a little bit in the first episode that we went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I am a huge Marvel fan. And we have just had San Diego Comic-Con event that just took place. Hopefully I'm not too late by talking about this, but obviously all the news is out. Everyone has seen the announcements and whatnot. So I thought I would just touch a little bit on this, just some news, a few things that stood out for me from the event. So I think one of the biggest ones was who will be playing Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is coming to the MCU. This surprised me. This surprised, I think, a lot of people. Shocked, in fact, a lot of people. It shocked me. I thought we were getting someone that we had not seen before. That is what I would have liked personally. But we have, of course, Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. To me, it's not. I'm not the biggest fan of this casting, but yes, I'm one of those people that think a new actor should have been cast. Let someone else have the spotlight, if you will. That's just my opinion. I think Robert Downey Jr. will no doubt play a great Victor Von Doom. But it would have been nice to see, maybe an up-and-coming actor, maybe someone we had seen before, but maybe not as much screen time, something along those lines. But we'll see how we go. we've still got a while until we see Doctor Doom. But yeah, Doctor Doom is definitely on my list of villains that I like a lot. I would say so. Maybe not top 5, but we'll go to top 10. We'll say that. But yeah, I cannot wait to see Doctor Doom on the big screen. This kind of ties in. I'm not too sure if we'll be seeing Doctor Doom in this movie, but again, we have known about the Fantastic Four being made as well. Shortly after we got the cast, I don't know if it was shortly after. After we got the cast announced. Now the cast is another topic as well. I like the cast, but I think I know all the cast members. I do now, at least, and a lot of people have problems with the cast as well. I think Emily Blunt, Vanessa Kirby. Why did I say Emily Blunt? Vanessa Kirby is great. Pedro, do not mind Pedro as Mr. Fantastic. The other two I wasn't quite sure about. Obviously, we've got Joseph Quinn from, I know him personally from Stranger Things. And then Eric, I think that was his name, Eric. I have recently actually started watching The Bear, so obviously he is in that show. I know him from that, so I do not mind the cast at all. I think I do enjoy the Fantastic Four. I think Mr. Fantastic is my favorite out of all of them. But yeah, it was I think as we see more from this movie, I will be more interested. I do need to see a lot more. The fact that we get Galactus in this movie is probably what's hyping me up the most at the moment. So, yeah, once the trailers and stuff get released, not like the leaks and stuff, I think fans will be a lot more comfortable knowing what they will be getting themselves into when they do go and watch this movie. And then last but not least, we have the news of the 2 new Avengers movies being directed by yours truly, the Russo brothers. Yes, they are back. They will be directing Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So I am not too sure which I'm more excited about. Probably Doomsday. I haven't read the Secret Wars comics and stuff like that, so I'm not too sure what they entail. I still know they entail the multiverse, at least in the Secret Wars. I'm not too sure about Doomsday. But yeah, I'm excited to see some new Avengers. You know, if we get new, old Avengers, young, stuff like that. But yeah, in a few years we will be seeing the Avengers again. So hey, anything can happen. It's Marvel. But in the Russos we trust, at least with some things. I know a lot of people don't. Just because of the state that Marvel has been in recently. But yeah, cannot wait to see those movies. I think the Avengers movies are great. They are not my favorites, but I like them a lot. So yeah. But anyway, moving on. So this segment from the last first episode that we've done, I like to kind of talk about, we are moving on to the video game stage. I'm talking as if by saying video games that you guys are old and past 30 and stuff like that. I could just say games. But yeah, I kind of like to talk about what I'm playing at the moment. What I'm looking forward to, and you know, stuff like that. So as you guys know, I play on Xbox Series X. What I'm still streaming at the moment. I'm definitely a lot more busier streaming than I am doing main channel videos. So I'm gonna have to pick up the main channel again and start doing videos. excuse me for that as well. But I definitely, I mean, my main channel is, excuse me, the focus. But I'm just trying to get my Twitch out there, I guess. So I've been working on my streams a lot more lately. So one of the games I wanted to mention as well, I'm not so sure if I mentioned it in the first episode. Destiny 2 is one of those games that, kind of like Fortnite and a few others, I stopped playing for a bit. I can't remember. I think the grind was too much, just like the Division 2. I absolutely loved the Division, the first one. Number 2 was, still loved it, but it was not as good as the first one. And I think a lot of people would agree with me with that. Feel free to disagree with me. But I think, yeah, along with the Division 2, Destiny 2 just got way too grindy for me. Did not have the time, could not put in the hours. And I think a lot of it had to do with raids as well. I didn't have many friends to play with back then, and I still don't. But I do play it from time to time. I do play it here and there. I want to put more time into it when I can before new games start coming out, especially with all the new light stuff and all the expansions and whatnot. So I do play it from time to time. I did play it on stream a few months ago, I believe, or a month or two ago. But yeah, it's definitely one of those games that I want to get back into when I have the time. And it's not something that I could play casually. I don't think I would have to. It's a big game. Safe to say, it's a big game. So there's lots happening. It's one of those games that I would have to look up YouTube videos about how to do all the I don't know what you want to call it, the extracting of the materials and stuff like that, crafting, whatever you want to call it. I'm not too big into it at the moment, so I don't know the lingo and stuff like that you want to use. But yeah, definitely want to try and get back into it. So at the moment, Modern Warfare 3, I think I touched on it last episode. Who knows? I certainly don't. Modern Warfare 3 just got added to Game Pass, so I'll be playing that until Black Ops 6 comes out. And I did say in the first episode I will be trying to make as much content as I can from Black Ops 6. Because not only got the multiplayer, zombies is returning, so that's a huge thing for me as well. And people will be doing the Easter eggs and whatnot, so I'll be playing Modern Warfare 3 when I can. What else? Like I said, I'm going to keep saying it. Like I said in the first episode, there are a few games that I will be, doing walkthroughs and stuff on stream. Right now, I'm really enjoying the Callisto Protocol, so you'd notice if you go to my second channel now, WhichWay, for my VODs and walkthroughs. I now have 2 episodes of the Callisto Protocol ups, and number 3 will be going up shortly. So yeah, really enjoying that. And feel free to suggest, guys, as well, if you want to see maybe something that I haven't played that I can do on stream, a walkthrough of. Maybe that would be enjoyable for you guys. But just don't suggest stuff like, I don't know, a Lego game. I'll tell you right now, I'm not into Lego games, at least not anymore. So, just a good example. Maybe not. But, yeah. What else? As I'm recording this right now, I've been watching, when it was first announced, I was watching people play Valorant on stream as well. It sucked that it wasn't on Xbox. So I would just watch streamers play it. And it was one of those games where I would come home from work and, just sit on the bed, sit at my desk, something like that. Have a drink, grab some food, and then just chill out and watch people play. It was one of those games that you like to watch. And then recently it got announced that it will be coming to consoles. So I think it was the I'm not too sure if it was the Xbox showcase or something else that Valorant was dropping for consoles. So that was exciting. I was looking out for that. And then as of right now, I have it downloaded on my Xbox. So hopefully, I've wanted to try it out. It doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to try it out, see how I like it. I might even stream for the first time instead of being a video. See how we go, just to test out the waters. And yeah, I'll definitely be checking that out. Just trying to think of if there are any other games. Obviously, still Dead Island 2 is on a bit of a hold until I do finish the Callisto Protocol. I do have a Dead Island 2 video coming out. I'm just in the middle of editing it, so whenever I get time, that'll be out for you guys. So yeah. But I think that's about it for what I'm currently playing. So yeah, focus is pretty much on Modern Warfare 3 until Black Ops 6 comes out. And then, yeah, I'll still be playing Fortnite. And, yeah, I think that's about it. Anyway, moving on. So I didn't do this in the first episode, but I want to, now that Jackson actually brought it up to me as a suggestion for my podcasts, I thought I would do my picks for next week's fights. And I think that will be obviously a reoccurring thing, just to see how well him and I do, or if it's just me on the podcast, see how I did in the next coming weeks. So I am going to, I actually haven't written down my picks, so this is going to be absolutely as live as it can be. So next week we have UFC Fight Night. Is it next week? It's next week, right? Yes, we've got fights for a few weeks in a row now, which is good. So we have UFC Fight Night, Tybura versus Spivak. I have looked at this card before. I quickly glanced over it. It's not a big card by any means. So I think just to save some time, obviously I'm not going to go through every fight because that'd be a bit time consuming, I guess, and I could talk about fights for ages, but we're not going to do that. I'll do a few fights that stick out to me, and obviously I'll do the main card as well. So I'll do a few of the prelims, and then I should do the entire main card. We'll see how we go with that. So first up, we have that I want to pick. We have Yusuf Zalal versus Jano Evans. I've seen Zalal fight quite a few times. Jano Evans is new to me. I do like Zalal a lot. I think he was a bit on a rocky streak, I believe, or he just wasn't as active. I'm gonna take Zalal for that one. A featherweight. I do love featherweight fights. So yeah. Moving on. Now that I'm looking at it, we have Johnny Parsons versus Yusaku Kinoshita. I've never actually heard of that guy. He might be new. I'm not too sure. They've both got 3 losses, but Johnny has 9 wins. Yusaku has 6. I saw Johnny's last fight, I believe. He's a hard-hitting guy. I'm going to take Johnny because I like the look of his... I don't want to say I like his fighting style, but I kind of like his fighting style. It's, from what I remember, it's like that heavy brawler style. I don't know how to exactly say it, but yeah, I'm going to take Johnny Parsons to beat Yusaku. So on the main card, we have, I'll go with Urish Medic. I'm going to butcher the names, versus Danny Barlow. Don't really know Danny Barlow, not too sure if I've seen him fight. I've seen Medic fight quite a few times. I'm going to take Medic just because I know him more, and yeah, I don't mind him at all. Another featherweight one, we have Damon Jackson versus Chepe Mariscal. Man, Damon's a tricky one. He could get a submission. He could either throw the fight. I don't know, man. Chepe as well. I want to go... Oh, man. I want to go Chepe. I think that's how you pronounce it. But yeah. Next fight, I'm really looking forward to. We got bantamweight banger co-main Chris Gutierrez versus Javid Basharat. Man, I like both guys. I'm starting to like Javid a lot more. Man, and I really like Chris as well. So in this situation, we have Chris being the vet. But man, Javid is good, and so is his brother. Man, oh man. I think Javid's last fight was his first loss, I believe. I want to say. Yeah, it was. And then if we go to Chris. Chris's last fight was against Song Yadong, an absolute warrior. When was Chris's last loss? He hasn't had too many. I mean, he's only had 6. And they all came a while back, I think. Has he lost in the UFC? What am I seeing? Oh, okay. So he lost against Rahoni. Oh, he actually lost to Pedro. I didn't see that one. Oh, weird. So yeah, he does have 6 losses, but I'm going to go Javid, man. Javid. I'm going to say Basharat. I'm going to go Basharat. We'll stick to that. And for the main event, I don't really like any of these guys. But we're gonna take Tybura. I think it's not really a safe bet, I want to say, but yeah, we'll take him. So yeah, those are my picks for next week's card. See what you guys think, and yeah, we'll see how we go. And I think just before we end this podcast, this episode, I think I didn't do it in the first. I also didn't do this in the first episode as well. Just kind of obviously an introductory episode. But as we progress through these podcasts, I am welcoming your guys' viewer questions for me, for Jackson. Obviously, for those who don't know Jackson or myself, you will meet him eventually in one of the podcasts. You won't see him, but you'll hear him just until we work out the camera for him on his angle. So yeah, if you have any questions for me or him, anything to do with fighting, what we're playing at the moment, stuff like that, feel free to ask. You know where to drop them down below in the comments. And obviously next time that we do a podcast, I will answer them as much as I can. I will answer honestly as well. And yeah, just to get a bit of interaction between you guys and myself. But yeah, I think that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Whether you listened, you watched, or you did both, appreciate you nonetheless. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying first 2 episodes so far. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace.